we are powerful beyond measure. And I believe in that with God, there is nothing that is too difficult for us to make. So, young people, I encourage you, do your proper financial planning, know the difference between financial security and financial freedom and independence, and pick a position where you want to go. Have a vision, have a strategy, believe in yourself. All these things are possible because God is on our side and he would see us through. Thank you so much for listening. Let us remember, God is on our side and nothing is impossible for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elder Morelane, for that very profound presentation. Due to the fact that we have two speakers, we're going to entertain all questions and comments after the speakers are done. So now we're going to have Dr. Hajo Morelane.
Yeah, connecting.
Happy Sabbath, everybody.
Happy Sabbath, everybody. Good evening. I was almost getting excited that. So yeah. Connection.
My story is a hustler story. I think in layman terms, people tend to when they're doing entrepreneurship.
Austrian woman.
Nomundo, please take over. I seem to have lost.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, I think Mrs. Morelane is now back. May you can unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry about that. We had a connection problem. Okay. Thank you. So I was saying with entrepreneurship, it's always been a very controversial, difficult topic, because as a Christian woman and as a Christian, we tend to understand God's plan for us differently, to the extent that we feel that if we are struggling, it's okay. And we go to church and we find ourselves all the time praying, but it looks like we also have an issue of claiming all the promises that God has for us in the Bible. So as a person growing up, I've always had this dream and aspiration to be an entrepreneur, but obviously it was always very difficult. And the difficulty comes in from the angle that says we do not have enough role models to look up to. It's okay to know that you've got the Stellenbosch guys who are successful, but often the time it's very difficult to relate with them because you don't look like them and you don't know anybody in your family who's ever been an entrepreneur. For instance, in my case, both my parents are educators, teachers, so you grow up understanding that you need school, get an education so that you can empower yourself. So I'm a scholar. I refer to myself as somebody that really loves researching, reading, and studying. So I did all the studies, and in my studies, I was trying to find a path that will eventually make me a businesswoman. And I remember when MBA was becoming fashionable that I enrolled, and I really went into MBA with my whole heart, thinking that it was going to make me an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, I was just to become a corporate woman, because basically I understood much later that MBA actually means business administration. In other words, you just become a better administrator, not an entrepreneur. So years later, then I decided to do entrepreneurship, and indeed I fell in love with it, and I discovered things that MBA will not teach you. Because entrepreneurship, what you basically get taught is to look at yourself and ask yourself, what problem are you struggling with, and what solution can you come up with? Not what problem am I struggling with and who can solve that problem for me. Entrepreneurs do not think like that. They walk into any situation. They see a situation of the coronavirus pandemic, and the first thing that happens in their mind is, how can I solve this problem? And that is what you get taught, which I say is the difference between the two. So then there's me enrolling for this doctorate in entrepreneurship. Typical of a student, I would say a typical South African student, as I say, because we don't have sufficient role models. We're in this big class and we get asked, how many of you are entrepreneurs in this lecture? And guess what? Only about 2 people in a class of 50. Already there's a problem, because most of us who are there probably went there out of curiosity, because an entrepreneur would not necessarily go to university to study to become an entrepreneur. You're going to try to figure out things on your own, so that you know, and that actually shows if you're an entrepreneur or not. But then for my sons, I then decided that, okay, I do not have this what this professor is asking us. I'm going to try to look for issues in my environment, in my surrounding, and try to solve them. And let's try to put this thing to test. We've heard about entrepreneurs who when they started their businesses, they started in the garage, they borrowed money from their parents, from their boroughs, and all that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this thing the textbook way. Maybe let's see if this thing really works. So as an Adventist woman, the one thing that I struggled with when the boys were young is that they love soccer, and they just could not play soccer competitively because soccer is largely played on Sabbath. So I decided that I was going to try to solve that problem, because it doesn't help me complaining to say my boys go and they don't get scouted, or they, because it doesn't happen on a Sabbath. So I then literally took the definition of entrepreneurship and put it to test. And says, do you have a problem? I said, yes. What is your problem? I have 3 boys and they love soccer, but unfortunately they cannot play competitive soccer. And they're very good soccer players. They get chosen and picked for teams, but then because most of the time it's played on Sabbath, the boys are not able to participate. So I'd sit down with a piece of paper and I engaged the boys, because for me, that was kind of market research in terms of what you need to do before you embark on this big thing that I'm going to solve this problem. I sat with the boys and they were very young, quite young, all in primary school at the time. Hey guys, how many of your friends love soccer? Oh, mom, everyone at school. And Presda at the time did not have any soccer team or something. So I said to them, what if mommy starts a soccer club? Will you be able to help? I promise you, I had 3 partners in the house, 3 little boys, and we came up with the names of the soccer guys who are going to join us, came up with the colors of the soccer team. And in no time, I did that most difficult thing, to talk to someone and say, please buy into my idea. Send an email out to a couple of parents and said, all the parents with sons, boys, and I was like, do you have the same problem that I have? Do your boys love soccer? Do you not know what to do? And I got an overwhelming yes. You know what? I've been here listening to my husband saying, to cut a long story short, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say different. What we did, within a month, the boys had already written a business plan, and we knew who was the CEO, the COO, the financial manager, and we sent emails out. And on this one particular day, I remember it was a very cold winter morning on a Sunday. 41 boys rocked. And what does it mean? It tells you that when you have a problem and you start engaging other people, you'll be surprised at how many people are ready for your solution. So we had 41 boys. And the best part about that thing is that all the boys were always super excited because our soccer was played on Sundays, because obviously on Saturday we go to church. And it was a blast because daddies, yes, bunda, their daddies would wake up very early on Sunday morning and take the boys to soccer, and daddies would always share beautiful stories about how boys would say, "Daddy, please set the alarm in the morning, we go for soccer." And it was brilliant. I mean, I got to even write to all the different schools in the neighborhood requesting for soccer fields. And after something like 3 months or something, we believe you want to do something. And prime land, literally prime, right next to mainland. So in no time, we had all the boys from Mamelodi, from the neighboring townships, and SDA boys. And it took off so nicely. And we were so excited, so involved. And the boys, but unfortunately, talking about partnerships in any business, I think maybe we were getting a little bit puffed up, feeling that we were like doing things, and then we got approached. You know how you get approached by people who used to play for Chiefs who are retired, and they said, "Let's come together, let's do this." And I think that's where things went wrong, because I was just the mother solving a problem that I had for my boys. But then I think what I did wrong, what I know now is that what I did wrong, it had nothing to do with the expertise of somebody that used to play professional soccer. Because as soon as those guys came in, we immediately had that professional SAFA thing coming into what is a mommy and mommy business. And I was overwhelmed because people were saying, they need to do. Until today, I don't even know what is offline. And it was not my problem to know what is an offline. As long as my boys were hitting that ball, it was fine. But yeah, so after a while, that thing literally fell apart. It was so sad because they convinced me that we needed to join some league. And before I knew it, it was a Saturday thing, and there were meetings that could not solve that problem, and we gave up. And that's a big deal for me as an entrepreneur, because I call it I failed. I failed because I didn't know what to do, and I was literally overwhelmed by people that had the skills, and I didn't have the skill, but I had the passion. So it fell flat, and I saw my boys crying. I saw so many boys crying. And if you ask me what happened to that whole brilliant idea, where I was already talking to overseas people and stuff, it fell flat because I gave up. And when I walked away, and this is one thing also I know about business today, it fell apart because people did not bring their kids to a professional club. They brought their kids to Mama Hajo, because I was actually getting the kids excited. And even if they were not going to turn into professional soccer players, they were going to actually enjoy the process and the journey. So that was my first taste, and I was still a student. It was a little bit sad because I saw my kids crying, and I had parents writing to me complaining. But I mean, I gave up. And of course, the boys grew older and they went to high school, so life was a bit different. And then I started a magazine, Authors Magazine. People who know me, I was so excited because I love reading, I like writing. Authors Magazine was the most brilliant thing. Even if you Google it today, you'll find glossy stuff with covers of Felicia Mabuza, subtle overseas, and the followers we had were from Russia. So it was a brilliant concept. What went wrong with Authors Magazine? I just could not find a revenue model for it. I was not making money. I didn't know what to do. Every month I was actually paying people. I was buying stories from people, but I was not making money. And of course, within something like 18 months, a big meeting in the house. And people who know Mr. Moralani was like, no, we can't keep on giving you money and you don't show anything for it. So unfortunately, Authors Magazine also was my second attempt to business, and I still love it. And I always Google and see the covers and blah, yeah, but it's gone because I was told you've got 3 months to make this thing make money if you can't stop. So yeah. But something happened to me. A good friend of mine, and yeah, I know Florence is tuning in. They are in Ghana. We visited Ghana, and when we left Ghana, they gave us a gift, and that gift was shea butter. And that was the first time really I touched and felt the thing called shea butter, which is a very good ointment for the skin, for the hair. And Florence and Ernest, our friends in Ghana, they gave us this thing. I came back with it. I was still in the middle of my PhD journey. After 6 months, Florence asked me, so how are you doing with the shea butter? And I was like, what is it? What do you mean? What are you talking about? And I think because I was still a student and I was in the deep of PhD, I put it aside and I forgot about it. So when she asked me, she was, no, Haju, you can't put the thing away. That thing, I mean, it's big. You can sell it, you can make money. I was like, okay, I will make money. How can anybody make money out of this butter? So after a while, I thought to myself, okay, let's try it. And when it started, my half-row used to be called half-flow. And it was HA for Hajo and FLO for Florence, because Florence introduced me to half-flow. So I took this little thing and I looked at the verse that says, what do you have in your hands? Because I realized that, okay, the definition that the professor told us is like, start small, start with something that you have in your hand. And there was this butter in the house. So I took it and I was like, what do I do with it, Florence? She says, no, you can sell it like that. So the first time we started, we just packaged this butter into little bottles and then came up with a nice little branding. And I was so super excited seeing a brand called Half-Flow. And I started out something for a year. I was giving it out for free and asking all my friends, hey, Sbongile, hey, Moja, hey, I go to church, for Gogos Lulu and all my Gogos at church, and I would massage them lunchtime at church. And you know what? Somebody kept on coming back again and again, asking me for more. It's like, okay, yeah, come. But then one day, I thought to myself, no, man, it means this thing is working. Why are they asking for more and more? And my dear friend Moja said to me, yeah, Hajo Mama loves it. She actually calls it Mafura Ahajo, Bodoro Ele Ahajo. And I was like, okay, my friend, I'm selling this thing. Oh, you're selling? Yeah, I'm selling. It's business. I'm selling it. Because it's like I was giving her now for the 5th time. Oh, no, I can't. I'm selling it. Oh, okay, my friend. Mama is desperate because we even went to Body Shop to go buy this thing. And we bought something that says shea butter, but it's really not the same as the one that you have. So, you know, fortunately for me, she just believed me when I said I'm selling. And I just ran and I did the whole little thing. I've got pictures that Lebaka is sitting right next to me, will show you how we started. And I took this thing and I just did what Florence told me I should do. And I started selling. And I remember it was the 1st of December, 2016. My first invoice, 3,500. I framed that thing. I was so excited. I told the world that someone was willing to pay for my product. And that was the beginning of me selling Half-Flow. And I thought I was going to be a billionaire, literally billionaire. Me, read about me, Forbes magazine cover, a woman who made billions out of shea butter. Oh, talk about dreams. So after a while, I realized, for no, this thing, I mean, it's okay. But fortunately for me, I started getting feedback. I was lucky enough to get a fellowship to go to London, When I was in London, I met a lot of women from West Africa who just told me more about shea butter. And one of the things they mentioned was that it's very good for your hair, especially natural hair. And I was stuck in London. My hair was getting dry. I had braids and I didn't want to go anywhere else to do my braids because you know how it is when you're traveling. You really don't want people messing up with your hair. So what I did, I just realized that my hair, my hairline was receding, you know. Hey, you know how here when people greet you, how Shem hairline, it's whatever. It was doing that in London in the midst of nowhere. So the only thing I had was this shea butter, and I applied it and applied it and applied it. And by the time I got back home, I think it was after 3 months, when I took off the braids, my hair was happy. And that hairline thing was almost gone. So I was convinced that this thing was working for the hair. I tried to then start selling it as it was for saying people you can use it. People believe me, but South Africans know nothing about shea butter. So everybody was saying, but Hajo, how can I use mafura, this thing, and it smells so bad? How can I use it on my hair? Until I realized that, no, call it something different, call it hair food, because South Africans, and you must also, when you do your market research, you check what is trending, or what are those brands, or what are those names that everybody use for certain things. Like we all say Omo, even when something is safe or something. So everybody loves hair food. So I called it hair food. The minute I said hair food, guys, I opened a bank account because almost every South African woman wanted the hair food. And it had not changed. It was still the body butter, but I was calling it hair food. And because of that, which is entrepreneurship, people just bought, and I was at the bank opening a bank account, and the business started growing from hair food. People asked me, sorry, Sisi, I believe you're selling hair food. Can I please have a shampoo and a conditioner? And my favorite story is that because I was studying entrepreneurship and I understood I now understand how it works. I never said, sorry, I don't have shampoo, I don't have conditioner. I would always say to people, I'm out of stock. So how soon are you gonna get your stock? And then I was like, okay, give me 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And in the 3 weeks, I would not be sleeping. I will be doing so much research, packaging and whatever. And in no time, I delivered hair food, shampoo and conditioner to someone. And I was so super excited. By the way, where am I cooking all these things? From my garage. I'm gonna ask Lebaka to show you, just to show you some of the things that we were doing. So we started everything in the kitchen, in the garage, cooking, and very, very simple. So that's what I'm saying, for me to be able to say to someone, give me a chance, because I'm still doing this. So this basically, my talk is around God has inspired my business plan, and I believe that God can inspire yours as well. So can you turn it, please? So what happened is that we then had 3 products from one. And I remember it was, so Lebaka has shown you a screen that shows you my little pot that I used to use there at the back. And then the containers, it all started. And of course, Proverbs 31, verse 13, God says, start small. There is a verse that says, she looks for wool and flax and willingly works with her hands. So I practically did this and said, okay, if it's in the Bible and God says a virtuous woman starts small and they start with what they have in their hand, I'm going to start. So those were my machinery. They're like it's hard, that the pot is hard, and I was doing everything outside in the thing. So from 3, then how I got to my 5. One day somebody called and said, I'm a salon, I'm in Sunnyside. I believe you've got a natural hair product. I'm looking for, I need deep treatment. Again, I said, I'm out of stock. Give me 3 weeks. And there was no sleeping. In the 3 weeks, just go back to the screen, not just there. So 3 weeks, I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do to make sure that I was able to deliver the deep treatment. I delivered the deep treatment, and then from the hair food, I had, I just no slide up. From the hair food, I was having now hair food, shampoo, conditioner, and deep treatment. And how we got to the cream, which was the 5th product that we eventually had. The thing about the cream is one day we were cooking in the middle of the night, and just when we thought we were doing well with the hair food, everything went wrong about it. In terms of the viscosity and everything. And instead of having the hair food, we ended up having something completely different from hair food, which was a little bit more fluffier than the hair food. And it was a big mess. In the morning when we woke up, instead of throwing away everything that we had, we decided that we're not gonna throw it away because it was a little bit fluffier than the hair food and softer than hair food. We are going to call it hair cream. So all of a sudden I had hair cream, but I need to tell you something about our hair cream. The thing about the hair cream that messed up everything is that it sold so well because it was the fluffiest, beautiful thing ever. Now, when we make products, we produce them in batches. So now this batch was the best hair cream. But unfortunately, when the batch finished and people came for more, that mistake that I made became hair cream. I didn't know how I got to that. And no matter how hard I tried to mix and try to get the hair cream decided I'm not coming back to your kitchen. I am gone. And for the first time ever in the business, I started having complaints. And I had people who were very unhappy and and I couldn't sleep at night. I just remember knowing that I need to do something extraordinary. I went to people and I said, I am sorry, and I will pay you back. I will do this. So those are some of the hardships of business. But I stuck it out. I stayed on, and because I truly believed that this was something that was going to happen. And in the industry of cosmetics in Africa, which is it's $1 trillion business, just hair. I mean, it does not make sense because somebody like me who studies big financial things, you don't think that shampoo can make that much money, but it is making a lot of money. And guess who is dominating the industry? It is not anybody who is African. It's multinationals, your Revlons, your L'Oreal, and us local people, we are all small and we are it's so fragmented, full of hajos here, there, and the big guys, the giants that are here, and us, especially as Black people, we are consumers of those products. So when I decided to go into this business, I was solving my problem. I was like, okay, I cannot sit here and be with my mom and my sister and my friends, and all of us have a hairline problem. And we keep on complaining, but nobody's doing anything about it. So I decided I'm gonna stop relaxing my hair. I'm going to do something about this and solve a problem. And I thank God that when I decided to do that, I fell in love with it. Like, I know my husband been saying each one according to her ability. I would never have thought I was anywhere near liking something called cosmetics. I remember we were in London at some point. I think there's a slide here, it's about when we were there. We were actually called to sponsor a function. Yeah, asked Daddy to come help us here about removing this. There's a picture of me there. I'm in London, and I'm actually there because they've asked me to sponsor an event. Now, this doesn't make sense because I'm in South Africa and we use rands. And in London, they use pounds. But it's because I was in London for some time and I got to network with a lot of people there that somebody said to me, we like what Haflo is doing. Please, can you sponsor our event? And you know, the sign pounds, I think the exchange is 1 to 20. That's how ridiculously expensive that money is compared to our money. But then I sat there and I thought to myself, I mean, can you imagine you in the middle of London and you are rubbing shoulders with the L'Oreals and these big names, Cantu and all of them? It's an opportunity of a lifetime. So let me take a chance. And they had categories in there like silver, gold, and platinum. So I just said, okay, punch below here. I just went in and I said, okay, I will sponsor. And in the sponsoring, you know, you were supposed to pay some money and also give some products, I think, to about 100 people. So we spent so much time manufacturing for that event and we paid some money towards it. And I understand as an entrepreneur that you need to invest. So we took the opportunity and we were in London rubbing shoulders with the big labels and with the big brands. And the good thing about, excuse me. The good thing about being there in London and participating there is that all of a sudden I just gained an appreciation of the industry that I was finding myself in. As I'm a financial person and I'm a medical school dropout. If there's two things that I relate with well, is that I was in medical school and then I went in the world of finance and commerce. The last thing that I ever thought of is that I could be in the place where people put makeup these days. But there I was finding myself. And that was the best school I could have ever attended. That 2 hours of being in London as a sponsor just opened my eyes. And when I was listening to what people were saying, I got more encouragement and I fell in love with the industry. What was a problem, what I struggled with is obviously the fleshy things like the weaves. I've never worn a weave and all those things. But I thought, okay, I don't need to wear a weave. I will make sure that the people who wear weaves get the right products and I will come up with things that are good for them. So that is an opportunity, as I said, even in the book of Proverbs, God says to us, you must work hard. And this is the slide that you're looking at. You've got to work hard and start selling to far away places. And sometimes when you are in doubt, you need something that you can hold on to, something that will speak to your conscience. And you say, okay, means God is happy with what I'm doing. And anyway, it's in the Bible that you need to be able to do something like that. So that was the beginning of Hafro, starting small. But then as I continued to research and Haflo eventually changed into people who know, then we're not in the kitchen anymore. Thank God for that. We've moved out of the kitchen, we've moved out of the garage. We don't necessarily have, I don't have to be selling to my sisters, my friends. We are trending big time. We rubbing shoulders with the people that I'm really kind of following, and I'm saying, if multinationals can be operating in our space and there is no big company that's there, by God's strength, I will keep on moving on. So we've been able to list on Takealot. The best thing that has ever happened to us is Takealot. And what has been the best thing about Takealot is that I now appreciate entrepreneurship. The people that are buying there, I don't know them, literally. It means, and they keep coming back again and again. And the most amazing part is that these people are not necessarily African women. It cuts across all races and gender. And I've tried to understand algorithms. I tried to understand why the business intelligence around why then I'm being flooded by so many people that are buying on Take a Look that we don't know and with who are so diverse. But I've been told that it is because we are focusing on organic ingredients and natural ingredients. And of course, because I was formulating for me, for my type of hair, I was very strict. I was very strict about what I wanted to go in the formulation. So that is why I think the only thing that I can actually say about all this is that people are probably loving the products because they are natural and organic. And okay, Lebaka's just trying to show you something. Go back.
Right.
Yeah. I think some of these things, like here, there's a receipt book. I said to Lebaka, let's show them how Mommy started, because now Mommy is 100%, or like, you know, when you say as somebody, everything is automated. I don't write anything by pen, but these are back in the day when I used to sell. I would the one receipt there, it's my sister who was buying, and the other one you can see there's a London. Just go back again just to show. And here, these slides here, it's when I was hustling a lot. I went to different hotels, promoting, and sometimes you really feel that people are taking advantage of you, because they say, okay, you selling? Okay, we want samples. And I'm like, oh, samples, but when you go to Clicks, you don't get samples. Why do you need samples from me? And then I'm like, okay, fine. It means it's my journey. So you go to these hotels and yeah, then you've got to do this. And those are the pictures. I was just asking Lebaka to show you some of the pictures. So where are we today with the story of Hafro? It has grown. Thankfully, I'm beginning to understand that there might be a formula in this thing called entrepreneurship. Why? Because I started in 2016, and the definition of entrepreneurship says startup is from 0 to 3.5 years. So as a learned entrepreneur who literally decided to go to school to understand this thing, some of these things are put in practice, like accountants and medical doctors. I decided, okay, medical doctors, they diagnose and they give you a prescription. I'm going to try to treat entrepreneurship like that and see if it's going to work. And one of the things that I've tested already is this definition that says you're a startup if you are within 0 to 3.5 years. And guess what? 2016, and I'm now 2014. What I've realized is that the struggles that I used to have in the past, they've minimized a lot. A lot of things are automated. I'm out of the garage. I have a factory now. And I'm now, I'm busy talking to different retailers. Hopefully very soon, most of my customers will find my products in your Pick and Pays, in your Clicks, in your discounts. I'm already in the spas and some of the things. So I have moved, and it is not long ago when I said to the family, I said, guys, guess what? We've reached the mark and we're moving. So from year 4 with entrepreneurship, the graph has to start pointing upwards, meaning that you are out of the woods, and we're slowly getting out of the woods. And something says to me, Dr. Hajo, what you learned at university and that 500-page PhD thesis of yours, there's something right about it, because you are beginning to see the light and you are beginning to play in the space that you never thought you could actually play in. And that has been the bright thing. So that is Hafro for us. So this slide that I'm showing you now, it's from, as I said, I'm using the business plan from God. It's from Proverbs 31, verse 16. Remember the one that I showed you, verse 13 was saying, start small. This is in the Bible. God says, diversify. Now, remember, I've been talking about the hustle of doing this cosmetic manufacturing business. But now God says, dear daughter, but remember, this is for a virtuous woman. It's got nothing to do with men. I'm sorry, but this is us now, women. God says, I told you to start with wool and start knitting, or with anything that's in your hand. But me, I can't knit. So what I did, I used the shea butter. But now, God in verse 16 says, diversify. And guess what God is saying to me? God says, you started small, and I hope you've saved money, because now I want you to move to the next level. We're going to Stellenbosch, real estate and farming. Check what God is saying, verse 16. She considers a field. It's not me saying that is God. She considers a field and buys it. And while you're still thinking, oh, how can I even buy land or a field? How am I going to do it? God says, out of her earnings. That is what she does. In other words, that's why I'm calling it God's business plan. God says women can own land and they don't have to go to the bank to get the money. And I'm glad, because the Nyamas tomorrow are going to be talking to us about saving, and my husband spoke to you about investment. God says, as women, and this is even wives, because there's a perception that she's married, and then my husband will do everything for me. This verse says she considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. How brilliant is our God? God wants us to get into deep stuff. I mean, look at my heading, diversification. How do you diversify? And farming, and not just farming, not like farming, like farming. This is big, this is deep vineyard. And God even tells us, and Lebaka helped me to get something that shows the land that you can buy. And you know what I also like? God says, once you buy, you just don't buy. He says we should consider. So consideration means think deep, think about this thing, do your market research. And that's the thing, think, why am I going to afford it? Where is it going to be? So it is from the Bible. It says, consider these things and think about them. And you've got the money, remember? Remember, you've been selling half loaf. So when you move to the next level, you've been making those things. God says, just do this and do your research and buy this land and look at this transaction. We actually exchanging now. It's a transaction. I'm buying this land, and I'm a woman. I'm a wife, you know, Mrs. So-and-so buying this thing, and I'm not asking anyone for this money. No, it's God saying a wife should have money, and because God doesn't, no, He's not an impossible and unrealistic God. God told us to start small. Remember when we started, God actually said start small. And in this start small, look at what I was doing. It says, no, start small. Proverbs 31, start small. And then when we continue, we're now moving into diversification. And we buy the land, and we buy it with our own money. And look what that land looks like. And this is in the Bible, real estate and farming. And this is brilliant, because it just tells you what God says about us. And I know Lebaka put Oprah's face here. Proverbs 31 verse 17 says, she sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. This very God, our loving God, who says, let's do these things, He assures us, so do not be scared, Hajj, do not be intimidated, because your arms are strong for the task. So I'll move in with confidence, knowing that God has given me strength. But I love this one slide. Proverbs 31 verse 18. He says, she sees that the trading is profitable. So the word profit is not a heathen word. It's in the Bible. God says, make sure that whatever you do, you're profitable. Because if we have to get to the level where and that Moralani says we need to make sure that we are profitable. But the very same God says, by the way, your lamp does not go out at night. Hard work. We are going to work hard. So if we women keep saying, where do you find the time? This very God, this loving God says we should get into real estate. We should do wine farming and make sure that we're profitable. So there's no scholar here, no. profitable. We're here to make money, and it's nothing wrong, and we're not apologetic, because God says, go and be profitable and make sure that you work hard, you don't sleep at night. And now, if you think all these things are new, social corporate responsibility, verse 20, the same God says, when you've made money, when you're profitable, then extend your arms to the poor and the needy. So there's a business plan. I started small, I worked hard, I was in London, I was in Dubai, I was everywhere else. This picture here was actually us in Dubai in February this year when we went to exhibit. That's Hafro, look at Hafro, Hafro Pty Limited, Yups, representing South Africa. Wow, that was such a big milestone. But then we started there, we went everywhere, we followed God's business plan. God says, now I want you to get into bigger things, Hajo. Now I think you're ready. And I say, dear God, do you think I'll manage? He says, yes, I've given you strength. Your arms are strong enough. But then when you've made money, remember the poor. She opens her arms to the poor and extend her. So when we do business as Christians, this is the business plan that we're going to use. And finally, what I like about the book of Proverbs and the virtuous woman, verse chapter 31, people will say, but Hajo, how am I going to manage to do business and to do this and this? God says, you are going to get a lot of support from your husband. Your husband is going to support you, and it's written there. There's verses that I've put up there. You get a lot of support from your husband because you're doing a good, and it's not to say that he has to do stuff for you. He supports you, and he has confidence in you. And what I also like about verse 11 is that her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. Underline of value. Not that I don't lack anything, but they say you lack nothing. So if I don't have a handbag, it's not Moralani's problem, because that cannot be of value. I lack nothing of value. I need to be blessed, because that's what God is saying. And verse 28 is my favorite. When I have done all these things, when I have listened to God and literally executed according to the plan, my children will rise up and call me blessed. And it's in there. The children rise up and they call her blessed. And the hard work continues. The main thing that I like about this verse, God is not soft on us. Verse 15, she gets up early. The last verse we saw, he said, the lamp doesn't go out at night. She gets up early while it's still dark and provides for the family. And not only for the family, and for her 7 girls. So if somebody says to you, why do you have a helper? Come to verse 15. Verse 15 will tell you that I need to have a helper, because it's in there. It's got nothing to do with being hey, no. I need to make sure that this helper, I'm able to support and do this thing. And finally, what kind of a woman is this entrepreneur? This is what God says about us women, about us wife, a wife of noble character. Verse 10, her arms are strong for her tasks. She's clothed with strength and dignity. Faithful instruction is on her tongue. So as we grow as entrepreneurs, we're not going to mess up with people. We're not going to do anything, because God has already told us what to do. A woman who fears the Lord is a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. So this is what God is saying. The glory and the praise will be coming from him and him alone. And the reward, like everything else that we do, according to his will, God says he will give us. As Nomfundo has explained, that is the one business that we've been doing, and I've tried to demonstrate what I did on my own and what God is saying, to try to marry the two, because whatever we do as Christians, when we're out there, when people say this and that, as we have a business plan that's in the Bible, and I have tried to show you this evening that God has actually done it in a very sensible way. Start small, do all you have to do, then start going the other way. And when he takes you up, he wants you to get into another level, which is the level of where the big guys operate, and we can operate at that level as well. So these were my slides. And finally, I think Nomfundo already explained that my diversification as an entrepreneur. I've literally taken my PhD thesis, which won, I got a Golden Key Award for it, for the best and the largest study ever conducted in South Africa. So after that accolade, I decided that it's not going to be in the library. I'm going to commercialize it. So I'm not sure if Brother Mdletshe has the commercial of the new business that I've launched. So instead of wine farms, instead of real estate, I have decided that for me to move to the next level, I'm going to commercialize my PhD. So I've asked Mdletshe to just show you a little bit of it because we have just launched it. It's going to give you a bit more about what the business is about, and that will be my story.
Pressure, uncertainty, frustration. If any of these words describe your experience running a business, you are not alone. With over 50% of businesses reporting that they can only stay open for another 1 to 3 months, losing confidence is not an option. A steep decline in profits and increased regulatory requirements is dividing your focus as the leader of your staff and team. The local and global economy is a drastically different place, which means that keeping your business profitable is an entirely new ballgame.
There's currently no backing out for
Do you wish there was a platform that could help you as the entrepreneur adapt and overcome the difficulties of global pandemics and other business and economic challenges? Well, now there is. Aptic is a revolutionary new digital platform that we have designed from the ground up to help entrepreneurs successfully adapt to the new economy. It provides what we call a digital readiness assessment. This includes digital coaching for you as the entrepreneur to add valuable skills. Our full business simulation will give you a risk-free environment to test your readiness in establishing the business. We provide analytics and insight. Aptic allows you to use the platform on any smart device at the comfort of your home or in a taxi. You can watch training and business coaching material any day and any time, even during your workouts. Aptic has a full audio library, which means that all of your coaching material is available no matter where you are. Using Aptic business tools, with your success reinvented and your business flourishing, you won't be able to help but smile. As they say, when the entrepreneur is successful, the business is successful. Aptic. Apt business ticks all boxes.
Thank you so much from the Morelane family for such a very profound and powerful presentations that they've been sharing to us about investment and also entrepreneurship. Now we are open for questions and comments. Anyone who has a question, they can just raise their hand, and those who want to write down on the chat, they can also do so. For those who have questions, the floor is open. And earlier on, I saw Mrs. Lauren's hand was up. She can ask a question or comment if she's still willing to. Mrs. Florence, are you there? Okay, in the absence of, I believe that our audience is still thinking. I have one question for Mr. Morelane on investment. And my question is, how can we spot a pyramid scheme when it comes to investment? How can I see if I'm investing in a wrong company or business? And how can I also see if this is the right place to invest on?
Yeah, I thank you very much, Nomfundo. I guess I got your question. Your question is how can you identify, how can you realize that this is a pyramid scheme where you are actually participating? Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think it's actually a norm. When you do investments, let me just be live here. It's a norm in the world of business. When you invest, there is what they call due diligence. In other words, you also know your client. You do, depending on the level of the investment and the sophistication. Some due diligence you can do on your own, but real tough, complex, complicated due diligence, you need professionals. In other words, you don't have to invest in something that you don't understand. The simple things that you can do, you can check with CPRO, you can check who the directors are, where it's complex, you can actually engage the lawyers, you can engage people who do market research and stuff, so that you really get the identity. It's actually irresponsible for those companies, especially the private ones, because the public ones, there is no problem. You can find this information easily. It is these private ones that are often a problem. But don't venture into an investment unless you are satisfied that there was a due diligence, and the diligence is positive. Otherwise, you're likely to burn your fingers.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we also have a hand. Please forgive me for not being able to pronounce well the name. I think it's Tima.
That's me.
Yes. Oh, so you can talk.
Okay, my question is for Ms. Moralani my question is on entrepreneurship. When is it how do I phrase the question? When is it time to give up on an idea? That's the first one. Number two, like, when is it time to give up on an idea? Because the challenge with entrepreneurship, you might have an idea, you might love it, you might have the passion, but sometimes you find yourself that you are running at a loss because you're trying to grow your business. Because the research says between 1 to 5 years, that's where you really establish a business. But you might find that you might be suffocating yourself in terms of your own resources. So when is it time to give up on a business idea or to change ship? And the temptation of saying to giving up on that idea into jumping into something profitable where you don't have a passion for that. Second, because part of entrepreneurship is growing as you go, that you then see that actually what I'm doing now is not making money as much as this opportunity that is opening up. And the third part, how do we then encourage our young people to say, go into entrepreneurship when the challenge of entrepreneurship is funding, especially if you run a business, you will always find that funding capital is a need. For an example, normally when we think of capital, I don't know on your side, but when you started the business, you might find that there are certain costs that you were not calculating initially that were giving you a loss. for like petrol and all of that. So initially, when you start a business, those are the losses you incur, but you don't notice those losses. So as you develop or evolve, you might find that it's moving bigger. And the last one is this one on clientele base. Part of entrepreneurship and the biggest struggle is clientele base. And normally your clientele base might not be within your cycle. How do you encourage entrepreneurs to create a bigger clientele base broader than what they are used to doing? Because most entrepreneurship that become successful are those who partner, because you might be a good entrepreneur, but you might be bad in marketing, in production, or in all of that. How do you then incorporate other skills? I'm done.
Thank you, Ntatetima. I think our connection has been so bad. I missed most of your questions.
Yo. Okay. Should I ask again?
Yes, yeah. We actually struggling. We're connecting on their phone now because their laptop is messing up.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Ma'am, I was asking number one on the issue of being an entrepreneur. One of the first challenges or the initial challenges of being an entrepreneur is that as you get into business, it takes normally between a year to 5 years to establish yourself. You find that you have challenges. For an example, that as you evolve in the business, you might be tempted to go into other businesses that seem to be more profitable than your initial idea. And when do you know when to quit? When a business is not, because part of being an entrepreneur is that you might love the business idea, pump everything behind it, but it might not be profiting you as the person who's coming with an idea. And as you do that, you're making losses. As you have this anticipation that maybe in future, this business will make profit. But the reality that at that point, you are running at a loss. And part of that, also part of the journey of being an entrepreneur is growing a clientele base. Most entrepreneurs, or what I've noticed with them, is that they can't diversify. They might have an idea, but you find that they can't do marketing, they can't do production and all of that. They might be good with, so how do we as entrepreneurs diversify or get other skills into our business? I think that's more or less, or the last one was the issue of funding. The funding becomes one of the biggest problems because mostly within the Black South African context, money is a problem. So your capital, the capital that you have, mostly we don't have resources from home and all of that to actually pursue those things. How do we then work with the issue of funding so that we don't suffocate ourselves in the 3 to 5 years of establishing this business?
Thank you, Tate Muruti. I got the questions. It's much better now. I don't know if you were there when I shared my 2 businesses before the Hafro one, where I failed. With Business Kings, as I said, I started it and I was very confused. And that's what happens to most of us when we are passionate about something. We don't even do proper market research. And this is exactly what God is asking us to do when he said you should consider. Basically, you've got to spend more time understanding it. And I like the word you used. You kept on saying you are passionate about it. Most of the time, this passion, it's the problem. Passion is a problem because you are so romantically involved with this idea. You just get excited. I mean, I was just so the long and short answer is that as long as there is no one willing to buy this product of yours, or because remember, it's about making money. If you are into entrepreneurship, it's really not true when people want to say to you, no, I'm doing this business because I want to help other people. No, you won't be able to help them if you don't make money.
Okay, you've got to make money first so that you can help, so that you can do social responsibility. And it's I've just also shared the message from the Bible that shows you that God told us step by step what we should do. So as soon as you realize that you are too romantically involved with this idea, but you don't have followers, you are in trouble. I'm being helped here. So what is very important is that you make sure that you've got somebody who buys into your ideas. As long as
Okay, and that keep on doing what you're doing, but as soon as you realize that you don't have people that are willing to buy into your concept, stop fast, because you're gonna waste money. And I know a lot of people that go on and on, doing something and they are not harvesting anything. No one is giving them feedback. Remember, that's not, you didn't create this business for you, it's for them. And they will give you a clue. If they are not ready, there's nothing you can do. And that's the first time. That's why with Business Kings, the soccer club, when I started getting frustrated and all those things, it was not even supposed to be making money, but I just knew I had to move. And then secondly, with Authors Magazine, the problem with Authors Magazine is that it was a brilliant magazine, like you said, and it covers all the questions you asked. That what do you do when you realize that this thing is not happening and you are not able to grow the market? The only thing that you need to start doing is that spend more money, or not even money. Think about it now. Uptick, the last commercial that I showed you, it's the business that I'm starting, that we've just launched. Uptick helps people that have questions like yours. The reason why I failed previously, it is because I was so romantically excited about my idea. Even when Tate Moralani kept on saying, but love, this thing is chowing our money. I kept on saying, please love, give me 1 more month. And you know, and that 1 more month became 3 more months, 6 more months. And then one day he said to me, listen, Hajo, I know for sure that this thing is not going to work. Now the question is, do you stop now or do you stop after 3 years, after wasting more money? So the issue is, as an entrepreneur, the problem is this passion that we have. And we need to manage it, because, for instance, in Eptic, the Eptic that you saw, I did the PhD, and the PhD was saying, but why is the failure rate so high? Why are 80% of our entrepreneurs quitting? And then Eptic was able to say they quit because they try to do everything. I don't have money to do the books, but I can clap with you in that and we can find an accountant that's going to help the two of us. So there are many ways that you can do this thing, because we're starting out, we don't have money. And funding, this is the problem of funding. Most of us, the first thing we say is that there is no funding, but God has just shown us this evening, and I am a testimony to that. I don't know how many people promised me that they're gonna give me money. Tot vandaag, I'm waiting. But guess what has happened to me? And I thank God that I studied entrepreneurship. I am moving in my lane, and it's not the fastest lane, but it's a sure lane. I will get to Sentin. I might get there 30 minutes later or something, but I'm moving. You know why? Because I am managing this thing, which is small. I'm selling this one product at a time, and I'm gonna solve my funding problem. In building this business that I've just started, that's launched, I need a lot of developers. It's very tech, it's a tech business. And to be able to do this thing, I needed, I don't want to talk about the amount of money that I needed. But guess what? Before I could go knock at anybody's door to say, please help me, I'm coming with a revolutionary app and solution to help entrepreneurs stay and not quit. The first question that the banks ask me, how much of your money have you invested in this idea? And there's been, the best part is that I could prove that I've invested some of my money. And this is not Moralani's money. It's not his money. It is half flow. It is what God said I should do. So I took a little of what I've been doing and I started giving it to the developers. And I said, please build this engine for me. So, and I want an engine that can compete with the likes of Uber, Airbnb. That's the space that I want to play in. But I cannot afford the 5 million that it needs. But guess what I have? When I go to Mr. Funder, I say to Funder, this is my bank statement. This is how much money I've made on my own. And the bank says, well done, good and faithful entrepreneur. Come here, I'm gonna help you.
Thank you so much. We have a question in the chat and also a hand, but I'm gonna start with a question in our chat. It's from Chimenza. She says, or he says, good evening. When one has debt and an investment, could it be wise to decide to de-invest and pay off the debt? Thank you. I think it's to Mr. Mrelane. And then after that, Sibu Siso is gonna ask.
Nomfundo, please, can you just restate the question?
Okay. When one has debt and an investment, could it be wise to decide to de-invest and pay off the debt?
Okay. I think that's a very that's a very good question, and it's really a question of the mindset. I'll give an example and see if that example will not give an answer to this question. You know, if you have a debt of you know, say you know, you have a debt of 100,000 rand, and then you also have cash of 100,000. You know, common sense and common practice would be, you know, you take the 100,000 cash you have, and then you pay off the debt. But a more revolutionary approach, and this is an example, would be to put that 100,000 cash into an asset, into a revenue generating asset. And then you use, you know, that revenue to pay off the debt. By the time you finish paying off that debt, you still have the asset which your 100,000 has bought. And that's progressive. For instance, if you have a debt and then you have cash, instead of using that cash, you can buy a real estate property, which you rent immediately, and the revenues that are coming from that property, you liquidate the debt. When the debt is liquidated, you still have the asset, which is like a milk cow. You continue milking that. That's the mindset that we should have when we approach things.
Okay, thank you so much. Busiso Moyo's hand is up. Busiso, you can ask or comment.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, but can you please just raise your voice a little bit?
Okay, all right, one moment, please. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Hajo, for the time that you've spent with us. We truly appreciate your expertise, and I personally feel very enlightened as a young entrepreneur. So I've got about 2 or 3 questions with regards to the business and the growth. The number one question is, when do you really know that it is time to grow? Because there is this fear sometimes that cripples you and you feel like, oh, this is not the time. The opportunities will be there, but then you find you make excuses because you are afraid that you might fail and you are not too sure, and you've got that syndrome of like feeling like you don't belong, or it's not time, or you are undeserving. So how do you fight those fears, and how do you get to the next stage without you feeling like you are a fraud because these opportunities are too much for you to handle? And then the next question is, yes, we are Proverbs 31 women, but when the business is sort of like growing and you feel so overwhelmed, how do you then balance home, family life, and your spiritual life without feeling guilty in one area or the other?
Thank you, Busi. How's London?
London is very good. We're blessed, highly favored, and it is so beautiful to spend the Sabbath with you in this time. Just looking at, I'm never going to look at Proverbs 31 the same ever again. You have just highlighted things that were not open to me before. I am literally excited and over the moon, and I'm so looking forward to the next weeks and months when we come into my business. But obviously I have that fear, like, is it the time to get to the next level? How do I manage that fear and also compartmentalize the duties and the responsibilities of a mom, a wife, and as well as other things that I need without feeling like I've failed? Because when one area you're succeeding, then there's this thing that comes at the back of your mind that tells you that, but you're failing in this area. So how do you manage that? And as well, how do you get to the next level without you being so comfortable in that, like maybe just selling 5, you're so happy, you're managing selling 5 items and you feel you've succeeded, but then God is saying that, okay, it's time that you sell 10 now, and the opportunities come, but you feel you sort of like brush them aside, and you feel like, I don't think I'm ready for this. So how do you manage those, fears and taking yourself to the next level?
Okay, thanks, Busi. I think if you will recall, because I think this will be practical, when I was in London with you guys, I shared my vision with you. I did a lot of things, and I even thought that I was going to actually be full-time in London. And that is why I'm saying it's good that you're asking me this question, because I can give you a practical example, because I lived with you in London. I was excited when I was in London. I really thought I could grow in London, but then reality clocked when I came back home. Very difficult to take my products to you guys because there's a lot of export-import issues. So it's not easy really to do business in London. So it somehow answers your question. You don't decide that I'm going to grow. Remember, guys, it's not about you. The market will tell you. The market tells you that. I was in Dubai in February again, I was so excited when we were in Dubai, and I spoke to so many people there, and everybody wanted to talk to us. Guess what? Dubai is not taking off. And I thought I was ready to grow in Dubai. Why? Because of the same thing I'm saying. I came back home and I started thinking that I was going to do business with the people in Dubai. No, it's not easy. It's not easy to take the products out. So don't worry. There's one thing about entrepreneurship. It's going to tell you, you will get that customer. You will get that client who's going to say to you, come. For me, the biggest growth has been locally. I was in Dubai when somebody said to me, why are you in Dubai selling natural hair products? Because your market is in Africa. You should be in Nigeria. You should be in Ghana selling products, not in Dubai. What a common sense issue. I went to Dubai because it's easy to go to Dubai. But honestly, guys, have you seen their hair? Those people are not my target market, but I was there. So Busi, my answer to you is, don't worry, keep on doing what you're doing. And one day you will get that telephone call. I don't know if you've heard about guys who start small businesses. And one time you hear that one guy from Silicon Valley came and bought half flow. I'm waiting for that call. And you know how I'm waiting? I'm not rushing to go there. I am doing things right here, steady. And I'm saying one day the telephone call is going to come. My children are worried about that call because I told them that if I do things right, one guy is going to come and say, I want to take you out of the market. I'm giving you $1 billion. And the boys say, Mama, don't take it, because if they can give you $1 billion, it means this thing is. I said, no, I'll make a decision then. So it's actually, that's it. It's not about you, Busi. I promise you, it's not about you. Someone is going to come and do things. And diversification, it's horizontal and vertical. So if you're diversifying within half flow, I started with a shea butter, but then I went into hair. That's diversification within the brand half flow. But now the one that I was talking about is me moving out. And how have I the moving out, you know what necessitated that? I don't think I was ready to move because I've told myself I'm going to succeed. So it doesn't matter who's moving on this lane and selling, I don't know what. I'm selling my shampoo. I'm selling my shampoo. I read all about shampoo. I don't care, because if I do my shampoo well, there will be somebody one day who's coming to disturb my peace and say, Dr. Muralani, I want to buy your business. And I will decide then. That is growth. And about Eptic, the one that you've seen, the commercial that you saw, I don't think I was ready for Eptic. But guess what? I'm a PhD in entrepreneurship. My thesis won Golden Key Award, the best and the largest in South Africa. Everybody, when I was graduating, I don't know how many certificates I received for the best PhD, whatever. Am I ready to diversify into Eptic? I don't think so. But I've got a PhD that I finished 3 years ago. The longer I wait and not launch this new business, the more trouble is going to come my way, because this is a tech business and technology doesn't say. So my answer to you is something else will tell you. It's not you. Someone is going to tell you, and you don't worry about that fear. It's not God who put it there. You will know when you're ready, and the market will tell you. If we can all understand this evening that entrepreneurship is not about us. For as long as even after finishing it, and Take a Lot shows me that somebody was buying my product, guess what? We dance in this house. And why do we dance? Someone is telling me, stay, I need your products. But if no one is buying them, I promise you, I sit. And if somebody is, and people that are buying, some of them have written to me, don't you have some, like Rustenburg, in Rustenburg, people are asking me if I don't have dreadlocks, whatever products. I never thought I would even get into dreadlocks, but guess I'm getting overwhelming requests. I love your products, please do dreadlocks. Do I have an option? Maybe yes, but no, because it's overwhelming. And can I do dreadlock products? Yes, of course. Will I do it? If they're gonna make money, dreadlocks, here I come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have our last question from the group chat. I'll just read it. It's to Sister Hajo. It's from Limamgwe. She says, to Sister Hajo, how do you manage the distribution of your product half flow, outside the province, even outside the country? How easy it is to find reasonable shipping company for you when your orders are in small quantities?
Okay, thank you, Lima Kwe. I'm gonna answer you, but I would also love to have an offline discussion with you. It's not easy, like I think I've answered it in my other response to Husi, saying I've got products in London, I've got products in Dubai, but it's still a mission because of what you're saying, the quantities. But province is not an issue. We've got the most reliable infrastructure in terms of courier service in South Africa. And it's literally, that's what I'm saying, I'll talk to you offline because it's very competitive. You don't have to pay big courier cost anymore. So you can, my products go anywhere and everywhere in the country. And of course, because now I'm also on Takealot, it's a lot easier, but also from our own online shop, we are able to distribute anywhere in South Africa. Beyond the borders of South Africa, I do have an export license and I'm qualified as an exporter. So we're looking into that. But once again, my plan is, for instance, I want to be on Amazon now. So the only way to do that, if I want to do the Amazon route, is to actually decide where exactly. For instance, in Dubai, I've got an opportunity to do Amazon Dubai, like UAE, they've got their own Amazon. So I need to partner with someone there whereby I can take my products to that place and they are easily distributed from there. So one of the things that you need to do, you must form alliances with people that can actually do the business for you. And there are many of them. That's why I said, I'm saying, let's talk offline. But in the country, it's very easy. All you have to do is actually get the best courier company, and they are there. I mean, almost for nothing. You can ship, you can courier your products anyway, and the following day, same day, 24 hours. So yeah, it's possible.
Thank you once more to the Morelane family for a very informative program. We learned a lot, and I'm sure that everyone learned a lot from this amazing program. So now we've come to an end of the program, but before we end, we're gonna ask Elder Masina to please come and talk.
All right. Good evening and happy Sabbath. Thank you to yourselves, our parents, the Mralanes, Tatel Siva and Mehajo. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing it alive. It's alive, and you created an excitement. You raised us. You pointed us that it's possible. It's possible. In fact, you reminded me of a line that says, we must occupy until Christ comes. We must do our best with the means that he has given us until he returns. May he find you strong. May he find you in business. May he find you in health. May he find your successes multiplying and compounding. One thing I know about you as a couple is that you have dedicated yourself to reaching new frontiers continuously. And this is one of them. Thank you so much for your life experiences. And we are so grateful you could take us into your kitchen, into your cooking area, so that we learn from you. You are of our own, and thank you. May God bless you for that. We also want to extend a word of appreciation to everyone who was listening, who participated with your questions. We are excited that this line of thinking, this line of doing things, it's going to rub off to us young people, middle age, and it's not too late for those who are older to start something and carry on. It's not too late to create wealth. It's not too late to leave something for the future generations. We are excited with this weekend. It's a stewardship weekend. We are continuing tomorrow. We are back at 10 o'clock in the morning for normal programming, church programming. And then at 2 o'clock, we're going to kick off with additional, presentations from the Nyama family. Come around if you are available tomorrow to our friends, our visitors. Come around, spend time with us, and let's learn from one another. There is nothing as beautiful as seeing a united people building wealth, coming out of poverty, reaching out to do new things. And indeed, God has bigger plans for us. So we thank you for being patient with us until now. And we thank the team that put it together, led by Elder Msibi. Thank you so much for putting it together this evening. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow in good spirits. And good night to everyone. And I think, Sis Nomfundo, we can take a prayer here and dismiss the saints to meet them tomorrow. Is that okay? Can I pray from this side?
Yes, you can.
All right, thanks. Let's take a prayer. Beloved, we thank you, Father, at this time for the opportunity to sit and learn and embrace the experiences of your children. We are grateful for such knowledge. We are grateful for such experiences. We are praying for more success. We are knowing that you are our God. You speak life into our situations. You want the best for us. You are building us. You are preparing us for a better thing. In fact, Lord, before heaven comes, you are saying to us, you will give us a position to ride high on the opportunities and the level of Jacob, the level of Abraham. We are asking you now that through these experiences and learning, raise us up, raise a new generation, raise new families, raise new individuals. Give us new ways of diversifying. For if we grow, for if we multiply, you will come back to us and say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Bless us now, keep us safe until we meet tomorrow. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.